Hey, Laura.
Hey, Jen.
What are you listening to this week? Welcome to Season 7 of What Are You Listening To? The weekly podcast created to foster community through music by sharing the stories behind the songs that soundtrack our lives. Some of the songs are old, some new, all good. I'm Jenn Tully, and this week I'm joined by Laura Feigin. Laura is a singer, songwriter, and storyteller based in Philadelphia who makes music under the name Folklaur. Everything she writes comes from the same place, a love of stories and the moments that make us feel most human, which I can tell you firsthand is deeply evidenced in her songs. This week, we are focusing on Laura's latest release called Leaves and Letters, a 7-song album that captures moments in life, both big and small, and helps us feel connected through shared experience. Laura's here to tell us how it came into being and to walk us through a 4-song playlist that features some of our favorite songs on the album. So this week, all 4 tracks are from the newly released Folklore album, Leaves and Letters. Not familiar with Folklore? Tune into our conversation to learn more. And since our song picks might be new to you, we'll publish a playlist with the episode so you don't miss a beat. With that, let's get started. Laura, I'm so excited to talk to you about Leaves and Letters. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to get into it.
Yeah, I think, I was sharing this with you before we started recording, and anybody that's ever listened to the show knows that I myself am not a musician. I am just a super fan. And so when I get the chance to talk to somebody that is not only a beautiful singer or plays an instrument beautifully, but sort of does it all, it's like understanding a magic trick to me, right? I feel like a kid in a candy store because I get to indulge like all of my curiosity of like, how do you make this magic happen? This magic that moves me and changes me and saves me every day. And so I am so grateful that you're here and have agreed to let me indulge in my questions here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for them. I love this stuff. I feel the exact same way that you do.
Well, tell me, I know that you've been, like you said, you've been singing for a very long time. And I think it wasn't until pandemic times that you thought, like, maybe songwriting's in here somewhere too. Can you tell me sort of how you came to that realization?
Yeah. So music has always been a part of my life. I grew up with my mom singing in the house and I took music lessons and I was a singer. I could not for the life of me make a guitar make sense. I always wanted to, but I never had the patience for it because they're really tricky instruments and they don't make
Yeah.
sense. They're not like a piano where it's just like one after the other. And then physically, they're really challenging. There's a lot of like pain involved in learning the guitar. So
Yeah.
I was an English major as well. I was always reading and stories and, writing stuff, I wrote a book when I was 6, like those little
Wow.
things. I mean, it wasn't a real book, but it was a story and I was always bursting with stories. And then during the pandemic, I finally had the time to figure this guitar thing out. And I did. And then I realized like the things that I'm writing and the things that I'm singing could be the same. So I started getting little songs stuck in my head and I'd come home and I'd be like, what are the chords? And I would just like put them together. And then this little album was born.
I love that story so much. And so, do you? So you mentioned instruments that you play. You play the piano. You play the guitar.
I can pluck notes on the piano. I'm learning to, I used to be able to play piano decently. I have forgotten, so I'm relearning it. And
Okay.
I can play guitar. I used to play flute, which, maybe I'll pick that back up someday. But vocals are my main instrument.
Okay. Okay. You'll pick up the flute when it's time. When you enter your Jethro Tull phase, you'll.
Yeah. That would be so cool.
Well.
The thing is, I think these things are cool. I'm like, oh my God, wouldn't it be interesting? And
Oh
then I'm like, well, now I have
yeah.
to do it.
See, I know. Well, see, season 8, we already have a show booked for you.
There we go. Perfect.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into some of these tracks because I'm really anxious for listeners to hear these songs and for them to be in other people's lives because I think that there is so much in here that is relatable. I think there's so much beautiful poetry in the lyrics that you wrote. So let's talk about our first focus track, which is the title track off of the album, a song called Leaves and Letters.
Now if she leaves, I guess I'll let her. I'll she leaves. Leaves her letters and leaves. Scattered letters and she leaves me.
I just love the wordplay in this song.
Yes,
It's one of my
yes.
favorite things about it. I love the double entendre.
Hmm.
I love the beautiful imagery that you paint with some of the songs. You know, I think about "Let her leave her goodbye letters as we come untethered, and I just let her." I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
the rhyming scheme is so cool there. Like, tell me how this came to you. Like, was this one of the ones when you were driving home and you're like, you had the idea, or was it the double entendre of the leaves, like from a tree, and then the act of leaving? Like, tell me how this came to you. It's so clever.
Yeah, you nailed it. You live in my head because you and I are in the same space. Yeah, so it started this one, the bridge of this one came to me when I was driving. Cinematic,
Okay.
dramatic, which I thought was so fun. I'm like, how do I, whatever.
That's
But
the other line that I wrote, just so you know. Cinematic, dramatic. This
this
play is a
play is a
movie.
movie. Yeah.
All the static, empty attic. I mean, come
Oh,
on.
come
So
on.
good.
I
So
so
good,
in
girl.
thank you. So in my mind, Leaves and Letters is part of something that I'm calling a trilogy.
Okay.
Two of the other two songs aren't on the playlist for today, but I see this story running through the narrative of the album of these two people who are going through the same experience with completely different perspectives. And
Oh,
perspective is something I've always cared about a lot as a writer. So in this one, we've got the Leaves and Letters character, and this person is trying to do the right thing. First of all, I thought the wordplay was like too tempting not to
so good.
go with, and I knew I wanted the album to be very autumn themed, which I'm sure we'll talk about when we get to I'm Changing. So not
Yep.
to not to jump on your questions, but I knew that I wanted there to be like an autumn changing seasonal feel to the album, and the idea of leaves and leaving, I was like, what, how cool would that be? And then the concept of a goodbye letter and then letting her, and I was like, I can push and play with, like, it's so like like tactile, like it's in my hands, it's in my mouth. I want to have fun with this, and I want to really illustrate a character who is trying so hard to do the right thing but just doesn't get it. Like, I'm going to let you leave. Like, if you're going to do it, I'm going to let you. And then there's like this thing inside of this character where it's like, but that's not what you want. Right. Like it's this really human moment of trying to say something and you're not using the words for it. So I just let her leave. Yeah.
I love it. And I think too, it's so interesting, like knowing that you have an English background, because there were so many times in listening to the album where I wondered, am I listening to a reliable narrator or an unreliable
No,
narrator? Do you
you're
know what I
not. Yes,
mean?
that's what I was
Like
going for.
there were plenty of times where I was scratching my head and I'm like, I'm not sure which songs to believe and which ones
Hmm.
are just delusional, you know? And so
Yes.
that was really intriguing to me too. And it was one of those albums where every time I listened, I felt like I got deeper into the story. And it felt intentional. Like I sort of felt like I was going where you were leading me and I was happy about it. You know, it didn't
Yeah.
feel contrived. It just felt like every time I was getting deeper and deeper into the story, or deeper and deeper into your intent around the story you were trying to tell. And it also made me wonder if this was, and now hearing you say that it's, envisioned as a trilogy, like, is
Hmm.
this part of a bigger story? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And that I wanted so much, like, I love that experience where you listen to something and you get more and more out of it. And as a writer, one of my weaknesses when I was younger was not trusting my audience. So this was a real exercise as myself as a person in trust. Like, if I put something out there, if I use a word that I hope it could go all these layers down, or I hope it'll mean this, like, is anybody gonna get it? Is anybody gonna get me? And I didn't know. I had no idea, but I was like, I want the first listen to be accessible. And I
Yeah.
want every listen after that to be rewarding. So if you want something easy, it's right there for you. But if you want something more, like, come on in, let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's be, little English majors together. You have a home here.
And I love it. It's exactly what I got. And it was just the kind of like nerding out that I love in a good album. Like, and I mean,
Yeah.
like in a good song too, but it's so rewarding in an album when
Oh,
you get to like really indulge yourself in it, you know?
oh, that is the
Um,
highest compliment. Thank you so much for saying that. I feel like all my
no,
fears that someone wouldn't see me, you've just like, you saw me.
I loved it. I loved it. And it's the great thing about music, right? Like for me, even if we were the only two people that got it, it would be worth it, you know?
Yes, yes. I've always said that
And
if one person enjoys it and gets something out of it, it's immediately worth it because you're no longer alone on in the journey of life. Like the scary thing about being a human being is thinking that you're feeling something and no one else has felt it and no one else gets it and you're alone. And the fundamental truth of life is that we are not alone and the point of life is to connect. So that was the risk that I was taking. I was like, is anybody out there?
And I'm
Yeah.
so glad you did because yeah, it did. And it feels like you said things that probably a lot of us have thought, but again, that's the beauty of a brilliant like singer-songwriter is that they can take something that's kind of basic. We'll get into this later. I have a really specific example and just make it so beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a quick question too about tracking the album before we get into our second
Yeah.
focus track. But how did you track the album? Did you know all along that this was going to be the title track? Did you know this would be the first song?
Um, I had a tough time choosing the order of the playlist, because it the experience is so important to me. Like I want to tell the story, but I don't want it to be like forced down your throat linear, and I don't want it to be jarring. Like every one of the songs on the album, every single one is just like a little bit different and it's got its own vibe, very dynamic in terms of genres. So like how do you fit all those together? And some of it happened really organically. There's a transition after I'm changing into You Can't Break Me, I Don't Know, where my producer Richie was like, just kept it rolling. And after I stood up on the bench, like you can hear me stand up and walk
Yeah.
away. And you go into this really stripped down, vulnerable acoustic track immediately after that, which I wasn't playing like that. Those two next to each other weren't going to make sense, but they became something that made sense because we made a random decision to end that song the way that we did, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Lots of spoilers here. I'm just jumping ahead. But so picking the order was tough. So having Leave Them Letters first, I was actually thinking of it third the whole time. And
Oh.
yeah, and then I was like, I don't know, you just got to jump in and like get the intro track. I had a hard time, but I was trying to tell the story, and the night before I submitted it, I changed the order like three times, and I like was texting my producers, freaking out, like I'm canceling the album. I can't put it in order. It's over.
Nope, you made the right choice. You made the
Thanks.
right choice. I felt like it was so strategically tracked, and that's something that
Yeah,
I
we
pay a lot
the
of
whole
attention
time
to.
we 100% knew it the whole time.
Yeah, you're like it was very intentional. Yes, absolutely. But still, I love it more that it wasn't. That's what music is, right? It's that
It takes on
kismet.
its
Like,
own thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a living, breathing thing that told you where it wanted, like what order it wanted to go in. Almost, you
Mhm.
know. I love it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it worked. It totally
Yeah.
worked. Well, let's talk about the second focus track. This is a song that I love. This was one that as soon as this one came on, my first listen, and I completely agree with you, that first listen is super accessible. And then the more you go into it, the deeper into the story you get. And this was
Mhm.
one that I just like jumped out of my car radio while I was driving and that I just kept on repeat. I think I listened probably 3 times the first time we played
Oh.
this. I played the album because I just found this song so relatable, so intriguing. I love that there's like a rock moment here that we have, and I wonder like if that was deliberate or is that just what came out? Did this song say to you like, no, there's a point where I'm going to need to rock?
Yeah. Yeah. So Bookstore Coffee Shop was the first song that I wrote. It's the first single that came out.
Close my laptop, I'm driving home. Close my eyes, I want to be alone. I can't do the things I want to. Too tired to spend time with you. In my head, I can go away. Adding phone to a latte. In my bookstore coffee shop. On a tree line, small town.
Wow.
And it started the entire journey because I was just like the first verse says, I was driving home, like stressed out because I have a corporate job that I work during the day, and I love it. Like I love where I work and what I do, but there's stress that comes with that. And there's stress with
Sure.
being a creative person, not in a creative field and having no outlet for it. And I wasn't writing much at the time. I wasn't performing. I was not singing much. And this little jingle came into my head, like bookstore, coffee shop. And I was like, why am I singing about this? It was a year ago, last October. The trees were
Wow.
beautiful. And I was like, wouldn't it be so cute if I lived in a small town in like in one of those like little slash things, like something that you're so passionate about and you have multiple things that you care about. Like I love books and I love coffee and I'm like, wouldn't it be cute if I lived in a little town and I walked to work on a tree-lined small town street and I jingled my keys and opened up my bookstore coffee
Yes.
shop. And it was just this little thing that came to my head. So I came home and I put it on my guitar and I was like, these are the chords. And then, the rest of the song came to be, and I knew that I wanted the bridge to complicate things. Like that idyllic life, that perfect life isn't exactly like what you're getting. Like it's a grind you care about, which is super cute, but it's also something like you have to be precious with people and who you're taking care of. And the in my mind, the books are a metaphor for people. They're new, but their pages are dog-eared. Like we all live our own
Yep.
lives, but if you can create a space emotionally as a person, because that's really what this is about. It's not about literally working at a coffee shop. It's about being someone where they go to get away and they stay for ages. How do you take care of the people in your life? Um, and cherish them and live your dream life. Like what if your dream was to take care of people and to be kind? And then we definitely needed a rock moment. I
It
was
was
like, but
so
then you
good.
gotta go crazy. So that last riff at the outro, when we were in the studio, the drummer had been going nuts all day, like just killing it. And he goes, I had an idea. And he picks up one of the electric guitars and he just hits that outro riff. And I was just like,
Yes.
yep, there's a song, print.
Yeah.
He was
I was living for
outstanding.
it.
Yeah, the
Well, it
outro is
just
so fun.
it takes you to like an ending, a crescendo, whatever that just delivers, where
Yeah.
you're just like, you're all in. And I think
Hmm.
it's like you said, like I can listen to the song a first time and think like, who hasn't thought of opening a bookstore, coffee shop, a flower shop, fruit stand,
Yes.
like a whatever, like you name it. And so I totally, like I said, I loved it the first time. And then, yes, as you get into it, there is a focus on community. There's a focus on
Hmm.
how rich these books are because they've lived in the world for such a long time. Like
Yeah.
there was so much more imagery to dig into that it just made me so, so happy.
Yeah.
So Bookstore Coffee Shop was an early favorite for me. And I think just because even though this wasn't one of our focus tracks, but when we talk about like diving into a moment or singing about something that is relatable that you understand, I feel like we do have to talk about Ticking Time Bomb though too. I think
Oh,
that's
I'm
such
sorry.
a
I just got the
powerful
wrong
song.
one. Yeah.
No, you didn't. No,
Oh,
Ticking Time Bomb was not on our list. It's not one of
oh,
our focus tracks.
cool.
No, I'm just calling it out because
Let's
I
do it.
think it speaks to what we were talking about here, right? Like
Hmm.
creating this moment and taking something that is so relatable. We all have a phone in our pocket or an urgent deadline or something else that is pulling us away from self-care or spending time in community or other things that we probably need to be doing. And I felt like it was such an anthem of like the problem with tyranny of the urgent, right? Like
Yes.
that
Yes.
could have been like an alternate title. And so I just love that we kind of like start the album in this very deep, not chaotic, but kind of chaotic place. And then we really like bring it around. Like then you take us
Hmm.
the rest of the way down the journey. This is what I said. I felt like so led down the path. Like there were markers along the way. I just had to
Yeah.
listen for them.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, they're all there. Ticking Time Bomb. I'm really proud of Ticking Time Bomb because it came completely out of my head. So the the anxiety is all there, but the phones and the everything. It's the least like I mean, the depth of the lyrics is the same as the rest of the album, but it's the least like story deep. And I think
Yeah.
that's funny because I'm a soul cycler. And the night before Thanksgiving last year, I was like in my head spinning and I was like, it's going to rain tonight. So therefore, like, what's the traffic going to be? What time do I have to leave? Where am I going to park? How am I going to get there? Like, literally, I'm going to go work out and have fun. And I can't sleep. I woke up every hour checking my phone, checking my phone. And then I go and it was perfect. There was no problem. The parking spot that I always have was open. There was no traffic. The parade wasn't even on the route. All of these problems that I was having, they were in my head. And I'm getting home and I'm in the shower after this workout class and I just hear, check the weather, check the notification. And it just got stuck in my head. And so normally when you come to the studio, because I work with a team of musicians who play for me because I can't play all of my instruments and I don't have a band yet. So normally when you show up, you give them some reference tracks. Like I like the drums on this track, or I want it to sound like this, or the vibe of this, and you give them a playlist, and then they kind of put it together. With this one, I was like, I got nothing. I cannot tell you what this song is supposed to sound like. It's supposed to sound like this song. And they're like, well, we need a little more than that. So I started making the noises myself. Like I was like, at the drums, need to go like, t- 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 and then that like
Yeah.
riff, like da 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 da. I'm like
Yep.
just singing it at them, and they're like, well, it's just Richie, my producer, and he's like in his studio, like he's like getting it down and like writing it on the piano and like tracking what I'm saying, and he's like, how do we put this together? And then he put his expertise on top of it, but it was normally like not like that. Like I don't just like make noises at people and then they sing my songs or they play my songs, but it felt like the right way to do it because of how the song came to be and what the subject matter was. I was like, I want it to feel a little unstable.
Yeah, that completely translated. I feel like and whether it's you or your producer or a combo, I felt like mission accomplished. It was,
Yeah.
I felt anxiety and I felt it getting worse. And,
that ending
then
where it's all layered.
It was definitely, it's an impactful song. So you know what? I think I'm probably just gonna throw it on the playlist anyway, listeners, because it's another one I want you to hear. So we talked about it. We're gonna add it.
Thanks.
Well, let's go into track 3 here. This is another song that's a rocker on the album called "I'm Changing." This is the song, like out of all of the songs on the album, again, like listening and going deep, this is the one that I felt the most emotion around from you as a singer.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that was an unreliable narrator or if that was put on to sort of make me feel like this was the most emotionally charged. I wasn't sure. This is where I really started to dig in and I'm like, I've got so many questions. So tell me about this song. Like, how did this one come to you? And is there a very specific change that this song is about? Is it literal the way that it's written? Like, help me understand this one a little bit better, because I think it's so complicated and I feel like there's so much emotion in this song when you're singing it.
Yeah, I love this one. This was one of the easiest ones to produce and put together because like I was just like, I know what I want. This. Like it from the jump was a very organic song. It knew its own identity immediately. The core question at I'm changing is like, are you betraying someone if you're changing? You know, like are you lying? And I think all the questions that you have, the narrator of that song, the singer, the voice there has all of those questions, and that's why it's so emotional and there's not really an answer. It's really like, I don't know, like you're telling me, like she screams that I don't remember, but I'm changing. It's like, what does memory have to do with who I was, and am I not remembering? And you spin yourself out all these times. And this one I half wrote about a year before I began writing the album, because I liked the concept of the changing. I'm changing like leaves falling at the end of September.
Yeah.
Because again, I like the play on words. Like you're falling in love, or you're falling, into something, or it's autumn, and there was just so much to do with that and the concept of changing leaves. But it really is this uncertain question of like, you're telling me something about myself. Am I betraying you if I change? And am I betraying myself if I don't change? um and there's a lot of angst behind it. There's a lot of confusion, and the instrumentation follows that too. It's like, where are
Yeah.
we going? And like catharsis in the middle, and that instrumental, and then the bridge is like,
Ah, then that beautiful acoustic ending. Oh, it's
so
so good.
I so that ending was organic. It happened in the studio. We were putting everything together, and we couldn't, like, we were like, "Ah, we'll figure out the ending." But the way I had it on my demo was a completely acoustic track. Like there was none of the
Ah,
drama. So I was just singing it, and it was a much softer version. And the ending that we had was how it ended originally. And I was like, I don't know how to turn this into, like, because a little like pop punky, a little
yeah.
rocky. So I was like, I don't know what to do with this ending, but like the guys weren't playing what I was hearing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to play it. So I actually am playing acoustic on that one. It was the first one I was brave enough to do. There's 3 songs that I played acoustic on, because I was like not super sure of my skill, and I wanted to make sure the album had the best, and it did. But I was like, I'm gonna hit this outro, and we had already recorded that acoustic song that it goes into, and my producer and I just looked at each other, and he's like, I have an idea. And I was like, you're about to tell me to go in there and record it alone with the acoustic, just how I did on the demo. And we're just going to drop everything. So the whole thing about the song, and it wasn't intentional, but it's always been there, is that the song changes. You start off and you
Mm,
go, all right, I get it. I get what we're doing. We're doing drums and we're doing electric guitar. And then it just goes, no, we're not. And then we just end it. So,
yes.
yeah.
It's so good. And it's like I said, I was wondering all along, like, I'm like, there has to be some, like, either, and I knew that you were a big, like, you loved stories. You say it in your bio that you love storytelling. So I'm like,
Yeah.
there has to be some sort of literary background here, because
Mhm.
she's doing all of the things that a great book does, that a great movie does, that a great screenplay does, like in
Thank
these
you.
7 songs. Like, I just feel like I'm being taken on a ride, and I loved it. All right. Well, then we're going to close out our playlist today. The final track we're going to talk about is actually my favorite song on the album. It is a song called Loop.
But what if you move me and I move you? 'Cause I know all your notes and the ones that I wanna repeat. I write myself in different fonts, serif thoughts and cursive fonts. Edits read in living ink, but my wounds revise again. Sometimes I'm soft, sometimes I'm cruel. Sometimes
Loop. Loop was the hardest one.
It's my favorite.
I Every bit of blood, sweat, and tears. Like it's a fan favorite. People tell me Loop is the one, and I think like it means so much to me because I had a full breakdown over this song. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't figure out what it was supposed to do. I had again an acoustic guitar version of this, and I wanted it to be something really special, and I didn't know how to do it, and it needed a little of that frustration. um
Oh,
but there's something about the concept of knowing somebody and loving somebody the way you know and love music, like when there's a break in between the songs. um And then, I was such a chronic perfectionist as a kid that the idea that something could have like a crack is part of the art. Like
Yep.
those lyrics just mean so much to me. And then I gotta complicate it with a bridge. I gotta twist the story up and make everything up on its end with the bridge where it's like, I'm gonna change who I am. I'm gonna write myself in different fonts. I'm gonna, do what I think you want. And if you don't like it, I'm probably just gonna make another mistake. Like I'm gonna do my best, but as a perfectionist, it's not gonna go great. But it's a very heartfelt track.
Oh, it's so good. And I hope it's not weird that I'm literally reading lines back that you
No,
wrote, but
I love it.
I love when I reach out my hand, I don't look back. I just know where you stand.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so pretty. It's so
Thank
beautiful. The
you.
piano is so pretty. And then
Yeah.
something really interesting happened. I find this a lot. I obviously, one of my very favorite things to talk about in the whole wide world is music. And we were having this conversation a couple weeks ago on Super Awesome Mix, one of our other shows on the network. And we were talking about the Casey Musgraves song, If the World Burns Down.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how sometimes, simple phrasing is so impactful. And this is kind of what I alluded to at the beginning. Like sometimes it seems like, oh, anybody could say that. Like I use the example too with art, like a Jackson Pollock, right? Like somebody might walk past a Jackson Pollock painting and go, I can splash paint on a canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't, right?
Right.
Like he
Right.
did. And so I think about that a lot when I hear a song lyric that hits that's so simple. And I think, man, I really like that's something I've felt 100 times, but I never thought to say it that way. And the line that I'm referring to in this particular song is, what if you move me and I move you? Like,
Yeah.
oh, where it's so simple. And again, in the Casey Musgraves song, we talk about how she has a line where she says, if the world burns down, opens at the seams, well, I hope you know you were it for me. Like telling
Oh,
somebody, like, you're it for me, like, that's pretty cool. And then, like, right on the heels of that, I get this great, like, experience from you as well
thank
with
you.
what if you move me and I move you? And I'm like, "Ah, yeah, what if we
What
do?
if?
Like,
What if we did
that's
it?
amazing."
Like what's the fear? A lot, but
Yeah. A
yeah.
lot, but it's beautiful. And I think that, and then you have these harmonies where it sounds like you're harmonizing with yourself, I
It's
think,
me,
on the
yeah.
track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I'm like blown away. And like, again, plays into loop. You didn't leave me hanging. You used that
Mm-hmm.
wordplay that I loved so much throughout the album. And then you
Yeah.
really deliver. And the ending where you don't like, we hear the word loop in the song, but then at the end, it just ends with repeat,
Repeat.
repeat, repeat.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, I'm like, chef's kiss, Bo, it's perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that one. It's a that one's so near and dear to my heart because it's so simple. Like you hit at it. The words are simple, the chords are simple, the music is simple, but it has an identity and it has something to say. I also think one of my favorite lines, because I think it's funny, is the one about Noah Khan. He has a song where he says the word bugs, and I like unlocked all my
Oh, yeah.
songwriting strength when I heard him say like the last of the bugs leave their home again. I'm like, who says bugs in a beautiful song? I'm like,
Yeah.
something in me changed when I heard Noah sing about bugs, and I don't know how to say that, but it's going in a song. Like I can't not like. There's just something so like the guard is down in that song.
Oh, I love, well, however you were able to sort of tap into that inspiration. I hope you keep doing it
Thank
because I
you.
really, like I said, it felt deep. It felt intentional. It felt
Mhm.
like you said, like it felt like there was something for everybody. You could have just a quick bite if you just wanted a snack, or you could really get in there and
Yeah.
live with this album for a long time. And you know what? I think it's an album too that if I put it away in 6 months and don't pull it out for another seven, when it hits me again, it's going to mean something different. It's going to go
Yeah.
deeper. It's going to
Mhm.
hit me on a whole other level. And I think that that's an album that you can keep forever and ever and ever. That's another thing that I just loved about Leaves and
Thank
Letters.
you.
And I'm so grateful that I got to talk to you about it.
Me too. Yeah.
Yay. Well,
Ugh.
thank you so much for sharing your album with us this week. I know the listeners are going to enjoy it. I love a good singer songwriter, and I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you and this album. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been so great to be on the show, and hopefully we'll have more music soon.
I know. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for the flute concept album that's coming.
We're gonna have to do a flute concept album. I'll have to write that down. I'll text Richie right now. Get a flute. I'm gonna do the flute.
You're gonna do the flute.
Oh.
Well, listeners, if you want to dive in and go on the experience that we just described, and I'm sure you do, you can listen to Leaves and Letters on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you stream. And you can also follow Folklaur on TikTok at Folklaur, that's FOLKLAUR, or on Instagram at Laura Feigin, that's at LauraFeigin. And last but not least, please be sure to follow, download, and share the show. And if you love listening, drop a review on Apple or Spotify for us. And I'll be back next week with an all-new episode. Until then, to stay informed on all things Super Awesome Mix and what are you listening to, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Super Awesome Mix. Thanks again for listening, and please join me again next week to find your new favorite song.